The following segments are pre-recorded and sponsored by Longworth Productions.
Preventing heart disease on Triad Today. Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you once again from the beautiful Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. We'll tell you more about them later on, and later on is when the roundtable shows up. We'll get into all sorts of controversial topics with them, so stay tuned. Between now and then, some great guests, important information coming your way, and none more important topic than to talk about heart disease and preventing it and treating it, and we do that with a special guest. First-time visitor to the show, Dr. Brian Laff. He's a cardiologist with Novant Health Cardiology in Kernersville. Welcome, Doc. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Now, how common is heart disease? Before we get going, just tell me that.
Heart disease is very common. It's one of the most common diseases that we see contributing to medical morbidity and mortality in the country.
What kind of, well, we didn't rehearse this for now, I'm just curious, can you name a couple of things? What are the common things you treat with heart disease?
Right, so most commonly would be what everyone knows of as heart disease would be heart attack.
Right.
Heart attack is very common. Stroke is very common, although in cardiology we tend to send stroke patients to neurologists, but it's all a part of the same disease process.
Yeah, and all connected and everything.
Yeah, atrial fibrillation and
when your heart goes out of rhythm.
Yeah, all very, very common.
What are the symptoms of cardiovascular disease in general? Can you give me a couple examples?
Yeah, so the symptoms of cardiovascular disease in general are typically what everyone hears about, which is chest pain.
Right.
And when cardiologists say chest pain, we don't just mean pain, we mean discomfort in the chest.
Okay.
Pressure, heaviness, the elephant sitting on the chest that you may have heard about.
Right, right.
But also knowing that there are certain age groups, elderly, certain patients, especially with diabetes, and also women that may experience cardiac chest pain or cardiac heart attacks differently, meaning it may not be the chest pain. It may be more of a jaw tightness or arm pain, left arm pain.
Wow.
Nausea, sweating, those types of things. So it's important to understand if you fit into one of those groups that what you're experiencing may actually be related to the heart.
Gotcha. Now, what conditions or diseases that people get or can get that contribute to heart disease?
Sure. The main diseases that contribute to heart disease, number one, I would say, is diabetes. Diabetes, especially uncontrolled diabetes, and in fact, cardiologists treat uncontrolled diabetes as a heart disease equivalent.
Okay.
So folks that have poorly controlled diabetes, it's very important to understand that it needs to be controlled and you need to talk to your doctor and manage that effectively. Other diseases would be high cholesterol and hypertension, high blood pressure.
Well, now, what things can I do to, I'm old and gone, forget me, but anyway, but younger people, what can young folks do, or anybody, to prevent having cardiovascular disease?
Well, every year Americans will suffer from more than 1.5 million heart attacks and strokes. The good news is, though, that there are things that we can all do to decrease our risk. Number one is leading a healthy lifestyle. What does that mean? Well, exercise, moving your body. The American Heart Association recommends 150 minutes of physical activity per week, which if you do the math is about 30 minutes a day of a moderate intensity exercise, which is a brisk walk, water aerobics, dancing, those types of things. Get your heart rate up, get your respiratory rate up, sweat a little bit. Right. Another thing that's important is not smoking. Smoking is terrible for your coronary arteries. It's bad for your body in general.
Well, yeah, I always think about it's bad for your lungs, but you're saying bad for the heart.
Right, yeah. Almost a third of cardiovascular events can be attributed to smoking or secondhand smoke.
Let me catch you off guard here before we lose time, because since you and I just met, who or what led you to a career in healthcare? Did you have a doctor in the family or what?
Yeah, good question. Some doctors in the family, but that really wasn't what did it. I was actually a business major when I graduated from college. I knew I wanted to work with people, but I didn't really like the business sales side of things, and so was gravitated toward medicine because of my want to help people and not have a desk job and deal with folks on a regular basis.
Right, and you're helping people, and I'm glad you made that decision. We're all better off for you being a doctor instead of a business major, but all right. Okay, so anyway, before we lose time here, up on screen, novonhealth.org is a general website, but let me also get a plug in for Novon Health Cardiology Kernersville, and the number there is 996-7076. Doc, will you come back sometime?
Be happy to.
Thanks a lot
Thanks
for all
for
you
having me.
do. I appreciate it. We'll be right back after this.
The world's brightest are Fulbrights, Goldwaters, McNairs, and Spartans. Prestigious doesn't have to be expensive.
And we know you will make a difference wherever you go.
UNCG. Find your way here.
Back now on Triad Today, a number of times over the past year or two, we've talked about staffing shortages in all sorts of industries, in government, public, private sector. No worse, I mean, it's really bad in law enforcement. I mean, we have shortages there. Now, fortunately, we have a gentleman with us. He and his team are doing what they can to recruit new officers. I'm with first-time visitor officer T.D. Harris of the Greensboro Police Department. Good to see you, sir.
Good to see you as well, Jim. Thanks for having me.
What are the basic requirements for people being hired if they're interested in a job with you guys?
I say the basic requirements is you have to be 19 and a half to start our police academy. That's age limit wise, but I say requirement, have a heart to serve, also want to be a police officer.
What kind of personal characteristics do you look for in somebody? In other words, they might be the right age, they might be the right size, they're in good shape, they have a good attitude, but what do you really look for?
If I can give you some, I would say someone who's self-motivated, someone who is willing to expand their horizons on trying new things and be open to new opportunities and possibilities within a career that you're gradually changing.
And good with people too, good with people.
Yes, you have to be good with people.
Yeah, because people want to feel like that they can trust you guys and come and talk to you if they need to and have good people skills. I know that's important. All right, you mentioned police academy. School me on something there for just a second. What type of training would a recruit have to go through to make it?
That's a good question. So our police academy is 6 months long. You cover a wide range of topics, courses of study. Constitutional law is one of the biggest ones that you'll cover. Physical fitness. Then there'll be elements of the constitutional law that gives us authority as law enforcement how to actually say this element was broken. And just so having the understanding of knowing how to do that. So then you have driver's training and firearm training and all the fun stuff as well.
The fun stuff. Now what about, when we're talking about trying to attract candidates, what kind of pay and benefits are you and the chief and everybody sort of looking to offer? How does that system work right now to bring people in?
Right now we just increased our starting salary. We believe it is one of the most competitive salaries in law enforcement in North Carolina, starting off at $55,000 a year. That's for you coming off the streets. That's what you start with.
Right.
Even in the academy, our academy is a fully paid academy for 6 months.
Wow, that's I was wondering about that when you said we got to go through this 6 months, but you're paying them to go to school.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about that stress of saying, hey, I have to sacrifice 6 months and then be paid. No. We're paying you day one you start the academy, $55,000.
Personal question real quick. What made you want to get into law enforcement?
That is a good question, Jim. That's a deep one. I was actually, did retail for 8 years. I'm a man of faith, so I actually prayed and I said, I want to use some gifts and talents that God has given me in one setting to do it all. And policing has allowed me to do that. Physically fit. Being in retail, I was in a store every day, so I was in four corners every day.
Right.
And my job right now, every single day is different.
Yeah.
My office is different every day. I've never had a day where I had the same call, ever.
Well, then I suppose you just answered my final question in a way, but you can expand on it, which is, what's personally gratifying to you? What do you get out of your job other than good pay and camaraderie with fellow officers? What do you get out of it?
I like the balance of life. On a patrol schedule, you can work 4 days on, and then you're off for 4 days straight. So not only can you be a good officer, if you desire to be a good father, husband, whatever else, or if you want to go start your own business, you have the balance to be something else.
How about that?
Yes, sir.
I can tell in your eyes you like what you do.
I love it.
That's
I think
just
they
great.
will too.
They ought to just frame you right here and say, here's the poster man for being a police officer. Good job. Up on screen, before I forget, I was rattling on there, gpdcareers.com. Go to that if you're interested in becoming an officer. The general website for the city is greensboro-nc.gov, but again, gpdcareers.com. And Officer Harris, thanks for sharing this information with us, and good luck.
Thank you.
Will you come back sometime?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you that Triad Today is now streaming on WFMY Plus, available free on Roku and Amazon Fire TV. Back now on Triad Today, and always glad when we can spend a few minutes every couple of months or so talking with the good folks from Mountain Valley Hospice and Palliative Care. We have two fine folks now that have something really neat to talk about, I think is important. And on my immediate right, Clara Ohlert is Executive Director of Inpatient Units for the Waltz and CQ Hospice Homes, and she brought along her partner. Tim Darnell is Manager of Patient Transport for Mountain Valley Hospice, and we welcome both of you. Claire, let me start with you. We want to talk about an ambulance, and I think we even have a picture of this when I talk with Tim in a minute. But it's not just a regular service that you're doing, because if you're a hospice patient, let's say, you could be at home or whatever. What is the purpose of this, what you describe as a convalescent ambulance? What is that all about? What do you do?
It is an ambulance that we can transport our patients to and from the hospice home to home. So if you're having an acute issue and it can't be monitored at home or treated at home, we have our special transport that can safely bring you from your home into the hospice home where we can treat that condition.
Okay. And is there a fee for this? So you're already under hospice care, maybe you're at home, you've got a condition that's being looked after, you have this acute episode, you get in the ambulance. Do you get charged extra for that? Is there a fee?
No, it's part of the hospice benefit.
All right,
that we
Tim,
offer.
let me turn to you. Now, where all do you take patients, and where do you not take them? What kind of places?
We will transport patients to and from their home, or we can actually go into the hospital and transfer them from the hospital to their home or to the IPU. We don't do like doctor's visits. That's something that is handled by someone else.
Okay.
We just want to make sure our truck's available for our patients if they need services at the house.
All right, let's talk about the folks that ride with you and drive for you. Is there any medical training for transport staff, or do you just have to have a driver's license? What do you go to?
All of our transporters are certified North Carolina EMTs. That is a requirement for the state, actually, to transport patients. They do their regular EMT training, and then we'll actually train them a little further when we get there as far as how to deal with our clientele.
Right. And so you have now how many do you have on your crew now?
I have 8. I have 4 full-times, and then I have 4 part-times.
Okay. I guess the last thing I want to ask the two of you is sort of put you on the spot about what's personally gratifying to you about your job, especially since just met both of you today. What do you get out of your job, Clara?
Well, I'm a nurse by trade, and I think that hospice care embodies like the full realm of what nursing should be, which is taking care of mind, body, spirit, and family. So it really just fulfills me in my true nursing love.
Yeah, and you talk about family. Hospice really does a great job with working with families, as the whole family, and whether you're in one of the hospice homes or being treated at home, really giving family support. And you have a good team of volunteers too, right?
Great team.
Yeah. Now, Tim, what about you? What do you get out of your job?
To be honest, both my parents were hospice patients.
So were mine, yeah.
And this is a way for me to give back a little bit. I've been with EMS for several years, and this is just an opportunity for me to, like I said, help those who helped me, and then help our families and help our patients. And we get to know our patients. It's not I'm not transporting them one time. I'm usually transporting them several times. So I get to know them, and they become our families.
Right. And you know, Claire, before time runs out, since Tim mentioned with his parents and my parents too, you know, it's so important to not be afraid to call and ask for help and call hospice, you know, because there are people, they'll wait too long, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. We're always available 24 hours a day. You can call any of our facilities, our numbers. We always answer.
Yeah, well, that just led me into this then. Let's show on screen. mtnvalleyhospice.org is the website, and you'll see the phone numbers you can call. They have a couple different offices around in the area, and of course, 2 hospice homes. To Claire and Tim, I really appreciate what the 2 of you do. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back after this.
No matter the challenges, we were there.
Whatever the struggles, we were there.
And as the sun comes out, bringing the promise of a brighter tomorrow, we will still be here.
We're Duke Energy, and we're building a smarter energy future for you.
Back now on Triad Today. Always glad when we can spend a few minutes with our good friends from Duke Energy, and our friend Hank Henning is with us right now, Manager of Local Government Community Relations for Duke Energy. You've seen him many times in the program. Hank brought a special guest with him. Tom Del Vicio is Senior Manager of Transportation in the Electrification Division. And I welcome both of you gentlemen. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Hank, let me kick it off with you. What we really want to talk about today, because I know you sent me an email saying something like, let's continue the discussion about EVs in some sense. So what are we talking about, and why did you bring Tom?
Yeah, well, thanks again for having us. So last time we were on the show, one of our counterparts joined us to talk about his experience with electric vehicles kind of at the ground level. And that'd be really helpful to have Tom Del Vicio, our Senior Manager of Transportation Electrification, talk about more of a global scale, how we're preparing the entire grid for vehicle electrification and so forth.
All right, now Tom, let's go to you. More and more people we're hearing, not just from Hank and Jimmy and folks that come on from Duke Energy, but more and more people are buying EVs. So what is Duke Energy doing to get ready when it comes to charging up these EVs? What are you doing to help?
Yeah, so as a company, sort of an enterprise strategy, we are welcoming the decarbonization of transportation, electric vehicles. We have lots of investments on our side, but we're really trying to accommodate that growth, as you said. It's quite significant, especially on the personal vehicle or residential side. We have a grid that can accommodate most of it, but we are putting in new procedures and mechanisms so that we can be sure that as that growth accelerates, we're able to meet that demand. And so we have preferential pricing for electric vehicles. We have price signals at night that make it cheaper to charge and less costly on our infrastructure.
Oh, really? Okay.
So we're trying to do things both passively and actively to help folks embrace that new technology.
We happen to be taping on a Wednesday morning for this weekend show, but I just read in the paper an article that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that you guys at Duke Energy are starting to offer a program to rent chargers. What is that about?
Yeah, so we're not in the business of installing chargers typically. The market is taking care of that, but we do recognize that there are barriers to entry. So one of those barriers is cost. And sometimes when you're considering putting in infrastructure and buying chargers, it can be a little bit heavy on the front end.
Right.
And so our rental program was designed to take away that capital cost of the chargers for residential customers and also commercial and industrial customers, non-residential customers. We feel like providing an option of various chargers and helping them rent through Duke Energy is a way to get this across the line.
Now, going back to the thing about demand increasing, you're ready to handle that is what you're saying, because you've got all these big businesses, with the Toyota plant coming in and all this, so you're handling the industrial side, but you're ready for people to have more EVs.
Yeah, so, and actually that's a big part of what I do and my focus in the job is for residential customers, we can accommodate a lot of it. But the commercial side of the business is quite a bit different. Yeah. And we can talk about that for sure.
Very, very quickly though, how long have you guys been preparing for this onslaught of EVs?
Yeah, so we have been working with various partners, agencies for over a decade to really understand the market. But as you well know, and you mentioned in the opening here, it's accelerated quite rapidly. Right. And so all of that preparation has sort of taken on a new gear now, and we're doing more and more pilot studies and cooperations between dealerships, customer groups, and different
I just think
partners.
that's great. Hank, any final thoughts on Duke Energy's goal in this regard?
Well, as we continue to transition the grid, we just want to be able to continue to provide affordable, clean, reliable power for our customers. That's our goal.
Yeah, and having these things in this rental program, I just think this is great what you guys are doing, and I think it's going to encourage more and more people, especially those who say, hey, I want to go on a long trip, I might be afraid, are there charging stations? Well, we're working on that, so I think that's great. Up on screen, for more information, you can go to the general website, which is duke-energy.com. I'll say it again, that's duke-energy.com. And to Hank and Tom, I thank you both for what you're doing and for the way you're helping to educate us about it. So I hope to see you again soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
We'll be right back after this. Hi, I'm Jim Longworth, reminding you to catch my column Longworth at Large and Yes Weekly every week. It's available throughout the Triad, or you can go online, yesweekly.com.
Veterans, when you're struggling, soon becomes later, becomes someday, becomes when. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable, but a quick shout out to the good folks here at Senior Botanical Garden in Kernersville. Come out and visit the garden year round. They have the gift shop. You can rent the facilities. It is beautiful. And speaking of that, three beautiful people with me right now. On my right, the beautiful Ogie Overman, a great broadcaster and journalist. Even more beautiful, she really outranks them in that department. Rosemary Plyman, a great broadcaster, and Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. All right, guys and gals, over 200 teachers in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system were mistakenly given a bonus of $1,250. Now the school board is demanding that the bonus money be returned. Similar thing just happened in Oklahoma with $50,000 bonuses that they want returned. Do you think the administration's request is reasonable? Hey, give it back, it was a mistake, or is it unfair? Ogie.
Fat chance on getting that back. I'd say, look, I already spent the money. I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I didn't know.
Well, they say
hey, your mistake, not mine.
Still want it back, Rosemary.
Their mistake. Yeah, they need to make that right and just figure it out. Sorry.
Keith, what do you think?
I think that the bonus that they're getting is way too low. That's no money for what they have to do each and every day.
Mistaken or not, it should have been a bigger.
That should be theirs.
All right, here's a weird one. A minority-owned preschool in Florida is coming under fire because the teacher there allowed a 2-year-old girl to reenact the arrest of civil rights activist Rosa Parks. You remember being, not going to the back of the bus, and what a great pioneering lady. Anyway, the reenactment included having the little girl fingerprinted in class. Now, are you okay with this kind of role play in school? And if so, at what age would it be appropriate, Ogie?
Well, I'm fine with the role play. I think we should teach that in school. But is a 2-year-old going to know what's going on exactly? That's too young. 5 or 6 maybe, but not 2.
Here's a mom with kids who had been 2 years old at one time. What do you think?
These role-playing things have gotten teachers in trouble a whole lot over the years. And so it's a difficult question to answer, and I think a difficult thing to figure out. I do think it needs to come much older, middle or high school at the very earliest, before you would even consider something.
You're talking about a state where they don't believe that Black history even exists. So what are we talking about here? But 2 years old is very young to do something like that. Even though the Black history should be a part of the entire program, it should be a little older.
Okay. A number of Target employees nationwide are being fired for purchasing the popular Stanley tumblers. Folks, I didn't even know what that is until I saw a picture of it. They come in different colors. Anyway, these tumblers are in high demand and short supply. And the employees are being fired because they've been buying up the tumblers when they weren't supposed to. Now, are you okay with firing store workers for buying up an item when it's a limited edition meant for customers, Ogie?
No, not firing them. I would say, look, give them, but we'll sell them to you. We'll sell you each 5, maybe, but you can't fire them. And they look just like a million other tumblers. Right. There's nothing spectacular about them.
My daughter would argue with you.
Really?
Can I tell you how many times we searched for those in the Target stores over the past month?
And they're gone because the employees are snapping it. Now, is firing justified?
I don't think firing. I do think that probably for some of these items that they're like the Cabbage Patch dolls. You remember that? You got to have some rules for how the employees can buy them.
Keith, firing?
I think that it's okay. And the reason I say that is employees, you want to give them incentives to work hard. And if they can get a few tumblers and give them a minimum amount, a maximum amount that they can buy, it should be fine.
Okay. Advocacy groups are lobbying Congress to stop requiring food stamp recipients to undergo in-person interviews. Do you think folks should be required to go through an in-person interview in order to receive food assistance? Ogie?
No, I do not. It's just another example of the right-wing maggots, Trumpledites. Kick them when they're down. Just kick them again. Just stomp on them again when they're already down.
Rosemary?
Yeah, I would agree. It's an undue obstacle and burden to make them try to get somewhere for an in-person interview.
Key. The amount of food stamps that people get are so minimal. I mean, literally, there's the money they're getting is starving. I mean, it's at the lower level. There's no way they should be doing in person. They should be giving them more.
All right. According to the CDC, North Carolina should be spending $99 million on tobacco prevention programs. Instead, we're only spending $11 million. Now, even though we're a tobacco state, should the federal government require us to spend more on prevention programs, Ogie?
Why should the feds have to require us to do that? No, we miss the bus every time, it seems like, in North Carolina. That should be an easy, that's a no-brainer.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that we have done better with this, and we need to keep doing better with it. You know, the number of people smoking is way down, and I don't even see it, I think, anymore. But
right.
But I think we still have to take responsibility.
Making progress, but they're not spending money that's out that they could spend.
That they can spend.
Key.
Yeah.
They're a $1 billion corporation, right? And there are programs in the community that could use that money to help people in the community. Why not appropriate a certain percentage of that money to them so they can benefit the community? Because you've been taken from the community for a long, long time.
Right, they can afford it, all right. And like I said, it's already allocated money. Finally, TikTok is ablaze with a series of videos about passengers who have taken a 9-month cruise on Royal Caribbean. Now, guys and gals, would you consider taking a 9-month cruise? Ogie?
I would not. No. That's way too long. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I might do it.
You would do it?
See more of the world and worldwide tour. I haven't. Are these good or bad videos? I haven't seen them.
I don't know. So, Keith, would you spend 9 months on a ship?
I got an idea, though. I think that you should go on a 9-month cruise. That's right. You're right. And don't call me on Wednesdays. You should go on a 9-month cruise. I think that would be perfect. And then shoot from different locations out in the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, somebody's going to get shot in a minute. All right, well, that's all the time we have. Oh, except for this. Last week in Arizona, there was this big cat show. You know how they have dog shows? It's a cat show. And everything was going fine. The judge was going around touching the cats and judging them and everything. This one 2-year-old cat just went berserk and started attacking the judge. And the cat was disqualified. So let this be a warning to all you cats who might be watching this program. Only a former president can attack a judge and get away with it. Wow. What does that mean? I'm not sure what that means. For all of us here on Triad Today, I'm Jim Longworth. We'll see you next week.